Hey, welcome everybody. You are listening to Ultimate Affiliate Marketing. I am your host, Paul Motley. And did you recognize the title of today's episode? Well, yeah, this is about exposing yourself. Now, not in the way that you're probably thinking, because that might get you on a whole different list that you really don't want to be on. So we're talking about being vulnerable, being sort of like giving out the human side of yourself, if you like. Now, I remember when putting sort of like websites together, and I have to admit that, I struggle with reading, not particularly reading. I struggle with writing and spelling. Personally, had it all my life. I actually got put into a special group, if you like, when I was in my teenage years, because they thought that I had learning difficulties. And, so I ended up in a group there for a couple of weeks. Mainly because I struggled to spell. My writing was atrocious, and even now, holding a pen seemed really alien to me. Having to fill out forms is still a struggle, which is why when everything went online, it was such a great thing, because all of a sudden you now had spell check and stuff like that. But even now, if I want to put a word and I'll start trying to type it out, and the spell check doesn't know what I'm talking about. so it can be difficult. But what it is like, you don't have to have everything perfect all the time, because people can relate to your flaws. So if you're looking at putting a website together and it's not perfect, then yeah, sure, I know there might be an audience out there which will think, oh no, it's got to be professional, it's got to look amazing and everything else like that. But believe you me, some people actually pick up on the fact that, yeah, you're human, you're just like them. So they can relate to you in that way. And it's very similar when I've talked to people before about being on camera. And people have this huge fear about being on camera, especially like live video. And we may have talked about this before on the podcast itself, but if it is your first time listening, obviously it's going to be the first time you hear it. But yes, drop a subscribe, go listen to the other episodes. There's a ton of value out there. So that's my little pitch finished off there. But what I found was that the more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. And it's interesting because if people sort of like relate to you from the beginning, you're going to see them sort of following your journey. And at some point, someone will turn around and say, hey, I remember when you first started doing this, and you've come a long way, you've done this or you've done that. And I see it myself, and I congratulate people. I actually go out my way to give people positive feedback because of what they've achieved in with their business based on where they were before. I'm going to give a shout out to one of the guys that came out on the podcast a few days ago, it might even be a week ago, a guy called Daniel Barbosa. Now, Daniel he had this major issue. He was concerned about his voice. He was concerned about being live on camera. And we were really lucky at the time because another young gentleman, Jacob Karras, a ClickFunnels Dream Car winner. If you don't know what ClickFunnels is, go search it out. You're going to find that. Software as a service, fantastic program, love it. And Jacob did this challenge where we were going to go live every day in his group. Now, obviously, yeah, this was, a great thing for his group because it boosted the engagement, got lots more people in there. But what it did was actually help people get over their fear of being on camera, because it was a closed environment and because it was amongst people that were not going to be critical but encouraging them as they went. And I think that is so important. Believe you and me, there are some horrible people out there. Go run a Facebook ad, right? If you want to see the horrible people around the world, go run a Facebook ad, leave it for a couple of days and see the hate that comes back because there are some nasty people out there, believe you and me. But going back to the point was, based off that, I did it, Daniel did it, a whole bunch of people did it, and although I wasn't really, I didn't struggle massively with it, but it helped me so much personally to actually feel more comfortable on camera itself. And I know when you're doing like a YouTube video or something like that, you can always blank your webcam out so you're not actually on camera, or so you're just speaking. That could be a progression if you're looking at getting into YouTube, would be to not be on camera to start with, just have your voice, and then progress obviously to a point where you can be on camera and you can turn that little webcam back on and you're there. But it's also good because recording something is a lot easier than being live, and the only way to get good at both is repetition and consistency and keeping going. So I think it's important, especially if you're trying to get things out into the world, like I am doing with this podcast as well, is staying consistent with it. And I was literally just come off a call now where I was recording for Mike Cooch for his podcast, and that was the thing that he said at the end was, what would you say to someone that was just starting out and wanted to produce content? What would the best advice you'd give? And for me, it was sort of like, just begin, decide on what platform you're going to use, figure out the tech to start it, and then you can always go back and perfect it later. So like we said in the YouTube video, if you're putting YouTube videos out there, then you can always go on camera later on, so you can always improve things as you go, but stay consistent with it. And finding content is actually easier than you think. It is. I mean, people say, I couldn't do it. I couldn't produce content all the while. But you think about this. The world is changing. Every single day there's something new. There's something different. There's a new take on this concept. There's a new thing that's just coming out that we're just learning about now, or this, that, the other. Personally, I try and stay away from religion or politics because that's not the show that we're talking about. But there are also things that I pick up on so that I can share with you guys. Typical example, a couple of days ago, I picked up some information about how to create a warm audience. So, of course, I was super excited. I just wanted to get this out there on the podcast. And it gave me a couple of days worth of content for you guys, because I didn't want to bang on for half an hour talking about one topic. So I kind of split it up into two and thought, right, okay, well, I'm going to do this part of it today and that part of it tomorrow. And I might revisit it again because I will just want to get feedback and see how things are going. But it is more accessible to create content than ever before. We are living in a world now where we can just pick up our phones, just like I am doing now, and hit record and then press send, and it goes out into the world. And people out there, no matter where they are, whatever country, whatever language they speak, can access it. And I think that's incredible. And I think we're so lucky to be in a time when we've got this. And, we can provide content and we can give value and all this impact that we can give onto others and hopefully, make a difference. And that is kind of like what you should be looking to do as far as creating content goes, is trying to help other people as much as you possibly can. Because ultimately, that is what's going to get people to obviously know you, like you, and ultimately trust you. And I've found this, and I've actually experienced it over the years, especially when it came to building my own business up as an affiliate as well, because the more help I gave other people, the more it came back to me. It was incredible. It was kind of like I'd be like in Facebook groups of let's use ClickFunnels as another example, and to begin with, I was the one asking all the questions, and then as I got more experience with it, when similar questions came up that I knew the answer for, I was able to give that out. And in certain cases, I'd be in private message with people, helping them out that way, and also I must have done over 100 to 200 Zoom calls with people, just showing them exactly what to do when they ask for help. And what I found was there's a portion of people which weren't already using ClickFunnels, which then turned around and said, look, I'd love to start this. Can I get your link? And of course I was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. Okay, cool, yeah, sure. Of course I can share my link. And that has been obviously coming back to me as affiliate commissions, and it has done for years. And it is something that once you position yourself as humanly as possible, provide people with value, help them, then you will get the return on the back end. It will come back to you. You don't have to be spamming links out here and there and everywhere and throwing friends requests out to people that you've never heard of before and spamming your link as soon as you start talking to them. You can actually begin with the goal of being the advisor and helping people. And believe you me, it does impact on your own life and your own business. So that is it for today. And like I said, if you were thinking this was completely something different with the title of the podcast of exposing yourself, then I'm sorry to say this is not all about that. If you want to get some more free content, then by all means check out the show notes. There is going to be a free access that you can get into my Ultimate Affiliate Toolbox. You just click the link, go create your account, and take a look at all the free stuff I've got in there. So anyway, I hope this podcast finds you well. Looking forward to doing the next one tomorrow, and we'll speak soon.